Today we are going to be talking about complexities that are happening in today's real estate market. And one of the main drivers of some of these complexities continues to be that low inventory. Now you may ask yourself, how, if there are very few homes for sale, can there be such complexities in a real estate transaction? Well, when there's lower inventory, buyers and sellers have more reservations and need more security when they are deciding whether to proceed on purchasing a home or putting their home up for sale. And with that, contingencies are often involved. And there's lots of different contingencies that are involved in a real estate transaction. And a lot of times those contingencies are stacked. And so that creates layers of complexity with different hoops that we need to jump through in order to get the transaction to fruition. For starters, there's almost always a financing contingency, which is involved when there's a lender. Unless someone is paying cash, there's typically that financing contingency. And oftentimes, at least in our current market, we're also seeing an inspection contingency. And there are very specific timelines that go along with that, as well as ways to remove that contingency and keep the buyer's earnest money secure. There's also a 10-day mandatory right of rescission if a buyer is purchasing a home that has an HOA in the state of Minnesota. And that is a contingency. And then probably the most complex one that we run into is a home sale contingency, where the buyer has to sell their existing property in order to purchase their new home. And a lot of times with that contingency, there's a big misunderstanding that occurs. In the event that a buyer, for purposes of security, writes that purchase agreement contingent on the sale of their home, there is a certain way that contingency needs to be removed. Sometimes people think, oh, well, I really didn't have to write a contingent offer. My lender actually now approved me non-contingent, so I'm just going to remove that contingency. That is not how a home sale contingency is removed. And in the event the seller receives a backup offer, they do not have to guarantee or grant that contingency removal. They can go on to another option if they choose. So it's important to understand how that works.
Yep. And just to go off more of that layering as well, is like Sara mentioned, all these contingencies are concurrent. So that inspection contingency goes up right alongside the home sale contingency, where you have to do your home inspection right up front, not after other contingencies have been met. So that's another little complexity that buyers need to understand and sellers need to understand as well. Now, going to a similar but other topic, and I know we've talked about this before, but there's also that buyer contingency, and that's where a seller who is looking to sell their home, but they really don't want to sell their home until they find a place to go, they can put a buyer contingency in the purchase agreement where that home doesn't sell unless they find the home of their choice. So that's it's almost an extra layer on top of any home inspections or association or contingencies as well. So appraisal. It's just another layer where we're seeing a lot of this in today's transaction. We're navigating it well, but there's a lot that goes through these transactions.
Mm-hmm. So it's very important to know that you're working with an agent that is very confident in handling all these different layers to a transaction. If we can answer any questions for you on your specific situation, or if we can assist you in any way, please reach out at any time. Thanks for watching our video and have a great day.